so many people online are just wrong. I mean, of course, in a general sense, without a doubt, including me sometimes, but not today. Not today. I'm talking about the quote, true power of Haki, end quote. People are taking this and they're running for the hills. Yeah! Yippee! Yahoo! No. So many people are just flat out wrong. And this, of course, what I'm talking about is in the last chapter of One Piece, Trafalgar D Water Law. At the time, Trafalgar D. No D, actually. Just Trafalgar Water Law was able to undo the effects of the feminization disease and transform back from a girl to a guy. And he was able to do so by flexing a large amount of Haki. And he clearly stated, hey, with strong Haki, I can undo abilities like these. And then boom, the floodgates open. People were going crazy. Oh my God, what? Yeah, Haki's. Listen, I love Haki without a doubt, but people took this and they were going extraordinary with their assumptions on what this means for the Haki and Devil Fruit relationship. So for example, okay, in this thumbnail, we see one Eustace Captain Kidd and Roronoa Zoro. Actually stems from a poll on Twitter talking about Law versus Zoro, where most folks right now believe that Law is stronger than Zoro, but then when it comes to Kidd versus Zoro, most folks think that Kidd is weaker than Zoro. And some of the lads in the comment section were talking about how, well, Zoro has strong Haki. Therefore, Kidd can't do nothing to Zoro. Zoro's gonna flex his Haki, boom! And the Kidd, no! He's so powerful! What? Radical. People are taking this and they're running for the hills. That's just one subject. I chose a spicy subject, but that's just one subject. Again, folks on all fronts are running for the hills, and Devil Fruits apparently now just suck. They just suck. No, stop running. You need to start backpedaling. Absolutely. All right? Because that is, once again, just flat out misinformation. Because keep in mind this fact. Kidd could still apply his magnetism to someone like Big Mom during their combo fight, Kidd and Law versus Big Mom, and Big Mom has more Haki than Zoro does. To the point where Law couldn't even move her in his own room. Big Mom is a force of nature when it comes to physique, when it comes to abilities, especially Haki. That is without a doubt. But Kidd could still apply magnetism to Big Mom. It's not just about Haki, of course. It's about having a certain level or strong levels of Haki and particular types of Devil Fruit abilities. It's not carte blanche for the entire spectrum of Devil Fruit powers. No, it's for, I think, particular types of abilities. So let's get to a few of them right now. So here are some examples, I think, of fruits that Oda is aiming at targeting when it comes to Haki negation of different abilities. Q has an affliction, crazy disease ability. You can overcome that with Haki. Someone like Sugar can apply their ability to someone else and turn them into a toy. But in theory, with strong Haki, that wouldn't be the case here. So someone like Sugar couldn't turn someone like Big Mom or Kaido into a toy. Another example, let's say, be Bonnie. Bonnie couldn't turn someone like Kaido or Big Mom, let's say older or younger, because her abilities would be negated by their strong Haki. Someone like Gecko Moria couldn't, let's say, rip out Kaido's shadow because Kaido has so much powerful Haki that it'd be impossible to do so. Or let's say Vanderdecken, he couldn't apply his target ability on a somewhat strong Haki because it'd be erased by that Haki. Someone like Kelly Funk couldn't just flash Big Mom and take over her body with his jacket ability. No, the big one has far too much Haki to be dealing with sickos like Kelly Funk. We can even be more specific here, where someone like Doflamingo, we saw that he had the ability in Dressrosa to actually control other people using what? The parasite string. However, we saw in the case of Monkey D. Luffy, he could break out of those strings in Gear 4. And part of that power is, of course, his Haki ability. So someone like Kaido, or someone like Big Mom, or let's say someone like, of course, Shanks, or Prime Goldie Roger, or Prime Whitebeard, whatever the hell, that wouldn't work on guys like that because their Haki would be so overwhelmingly powerful to where they could immediately negate the effects of the strings themselves. Of course, that applies to someone like Perona as well, ideally. Where someone like Perona, she couldn't, let's say, use her ghost abilities to like phase through Kaido and then, oh my god, I'm depressed. No, because her Haki is just too damn powerful, at least when it's activated. So the idea here is that affliction-based, or let's say control-based hacks, different abilities can be negated with strong Haki, very strong Haki. However, there is a caveat that must be acknowledged, I'd argue. And the caveat is that this only really works if the user of that ability themselves does not have strong Haki and or they cannot infuse Haki into that said ability. So it's very likely that someone like Q, someone of course like Sugar, or let's say Perona, they're not Haki specialists. Like they can't utilize Haki that well. Though someone like Boa Hancock, who has clearly a very hacks different ability, she could probably, or is probably, strengthening her own hacks abilities with what? Her own Haki. She has all three types of Haki. So there's a good chance that her hacks are more effective than someone else's hacks that do not have Haki to fortify said hacks. Because mind you, Blackbeard was still worried about Boa's abilities affecting him. Now, he could be a lustful horn dog. It is what it is. Say ha ha ha. When we see first in the post time skip, there are these two girls next to him. They're actually named characters. So once in a while, he may have to just release and get some clarity in his mind. But I digress. In chapter 1059, he was so on edge with Boa's abilities that he was even willing to leave his crew members petrified, even though he has clearly strong Haki. We even see in late chapter One Piece what looks like to be Conqueror's Haki lightning bolts coming out of the water when he's targeting Lost Submarine. But he was still worried about Boa Hancock's ability. Again, she has strong Haki too. So it's very clear that Oda himself is not, let's say, really keen on Haki levels, like let's say power levels in other series. There was Doriki at one point in time, but that only applies to like some Roku Shiki based stuffy stuff. The whole point here is that if you have strong Haki, you can negate different powers. But keep in mind that can be counterbalanced with that user's own Haki. So someone like Monkey D's Luffy, when he goes Gear 5 against Kaido, he is literally inside of Kaido and he is turning Kaido's body rubbery. Law couldn't move Kaido in his room. Luffy is actually making Kaido's whole body rubbery. What does that mean? That means that Luffy has strong enough Haki to either A, offset or somewhat offset the amount of Haki that Kaido has to actually affect him with his abilities, and or B, strengthen his own different abilities with said Haki to affect Kaido through his own Haki. The tricky part is that Oda himself is very fast and loose with a lot of the underlining framework for Haki. So, for example, what makes someone's Haki stronger? Is it, let's say, more potent, but you still have the same amount of Haki in of itself, or do you actually gain more Haki because your pool is getting bigger? Or is it a combination of the two? No idea. Luffy could turn someone like Kaido rubbery, but with someone like Shanks, who clearly has way more Haki than Kaido in spades, I'm not saying he can't, but it may be more difficult to turn someone like Shanks rubbery because the God King, the strongest lad in the verse, at this point I'm going to personally argue, with the greatest Haki feat in the verse by far and away, well, he may just be built different, even compared to everybody else on the planet, just built different. He has a movie that has been hitting the #1 charts globally and in Japan for a reason. But I digress about Shanks. If Dot Q, let's say, had strong Haki, let's say like Virgo levels of Haki, right? Like he can go full body if he wanted to. If Dot Q, maybe he could, who knows? But if Dot Q had strong Haki and or he could infuse Haki into the very disease that he was coughing, that he was just hurling and spitting on Law's crew, then there's a good chance that Trafalgar would have still been Transfalgar even by the time their submarine resurfaced. Maybe even for like the duration of the entire battle, because the disease itself is strengthened by that Haki. And speaking of Virgo, actually, this does validate what I've been saying personally for a long time. Because Dofi said back then that Virgo could absolutely block Law's abilities, but Law cut him down and the entire mountain range, despite what Doflamingo said. I think Dofi was correct in that. I don't think it was wrong, no. But Law had improved from that point in time clearly, to the point where Law, not only in terms of Death power, but also in terms of Haki power, where he probably applied enough Haki to his ability to actually cut through Virgo's full body armor Haki hard and aim. So then circling back all the way to the spicy subject, that is Zoro versus Kid. Whether you want to believe that Zoro can beat Kid or vice versa, to your own choice, your own preference. But I would argue that Zoro just can't flex his Haki and then Kid, oh my god, I can't do it. No, I think it's a bit ridiculous. I think that Kid, just like how he could apply magnetism to Big Mom, I don't see how he couldn't do that to someone like Zoro. Again, Kid does have Conqueror's Haki. Kid, on paper, does have strong Haki. So in that 1v1 matchup, I think that Kid could still affect Zoro in a plethora of ways with his Devil Fruit ability. Absolutely. So, if you enjoyed the video, give your boy a thumbs up. Make sure to join the notification squad and subscribe to the channel. See you on the flip side.